on that day, the day you were shut out and left to die, no one was there to lift you up into their arms the way you lifted others into yours. And then what became of you?
They asked, "Why don't you tell people about your problems?" It's because everyone has problems, so I don't want to burden them with mine. I don't ask for help often. I handle my own healing. When I do need someone, that's when you know it's bad. I've been let down 1,000 times before, and I always come back to the same realization that the only person I can trust is myself. It's a different type of pain when you're going through stuff and need someone to talk to, but you don't want to bother anyone, so you just sit there drowning in our own thoughts, wondering when it's all going to end. I immediately go silent when something upsets or hurts me. It's a coping mechanism I have developed over time. Instead of expressing my anger or frustration, I simply withdraw and try to process my emotions in private. I prefer handling my emotions on my own. I'm always craving to be understood by someone who appreciates my silent side in my most random days. Sometimes I'm annoying and loud, but most of the time I'm just quiet.
I'm paradoxical. I like to be happy, but I think about sad things all the time. I don't really like myself, but I love the person I've become. I say I don't care, but I just care too much, deep into my bones. I crave attention, yet I reject everything that comes my way. I healed people, but I broke my own heart trying to fix them. I love to listen, but I never tell them what's inside me. A living contradiction. That's what I am.
I realize people who show the most love never felt loved themselves, so they end up caring for others more than themselves, hoping they would receive it back, but they never do. They always hide their pain, telling everyone only half the story, and hiding it all from their parents, because they don't want to be a burden. I wish someone had told me earlier that I wasn't kind. I was overly empathetic, and that was a form of unkindness to myself. I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy, because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anyone else to feel like that. I think my problem is that I never know how to talk about my feelings. I talk to myself in my head a lot about how I feel, and I explain it so well, but getting it to actually come out my mouth is so hard. I realize people never loved me for me. It was just the way I showed up for them, the way I held them down and had their back, the way I was always the stable one, the way my mindset stimulated theirs, the way I looked past their flaws and wanted the best for them, the way I was loyal no matter what. I'm this person because I've always wanted a person like me in my life. I have a massive fear that no one actually likes me. Rather, everyone is just politely tolerating me, hoping I leave them alone. Like if you ignore me once, just one time, I will automatically assume that I annoy you, and instantly force myself into don't speak unless spoken to mode. One moment I'm fine, and the next I'm convinced I'm unfit for any human relationship. I'm not sure if I'm depressed. I mean, I'm not sad, but I'm not happy. I can laugh at jokes and smile during the day, but when I'm alone at night, my thoughts are terrible. I don't know what's worse, to not know what you are and be happy, or to become what you've always wanted to be and feel alone. When you're surrounded by all these people, it can be lonelier than when you're by yourself. You can be in a huge crowd, but if you don't feel like you can trust anyone or talk to anybody, you feel like you're really alone. The loneliest people are the kindest. The saddest people smile the brightest. The most damaged people are the wisest. All because they do not wish to see anyone else suffer the way they do. Let me tell you this. If you meet a loner, no matter what they tell you, it's not because they enjoy solitude. It's because they have tried to blend into the world before, and people continue to disappoint them.
If I disappear, like, who cares? Nobody cares, man. Seriously. Yo, and that's okay. That's life, okay?
Strong people suffer alone at night, smile during the day, tell their friends only half, and their parents nothing, so as not to worry them. It's hard to forget pain, but it's even harder to remember sweetness. We have no scar to show for happiness. We learn so little from peace. I think that humans have a huge capacity to carry pain and sadness. There are things that haunt us our entire lives. We are unable to let them go. The good times seem almost effervescent and dreamlike in comparison with the times that didn't go so well. But numbing the pain for a while will make it worse when you finally feel it. And that's the thing. Pain demands to be felt.
The paradox of wanting not to exist yet actively avoiding death is evidence that one ultimately wishes for hope rather than disappearance. It's the unconscious's want to die, but because the unconscious doesn't know what death is, it wants to have no control, because that's the closest thing to death it can think of. The death drive is the reason people stay in bed scrolling on their phone for hours, or why people stay in abusive relationships, because in doing those things, people give up control of their life. This relinquishing of control offers a semblance of relief from the burden of existence, providing a temporary escape from the complexities of life. However, it also perpetuates a cycle of stagnation and suffering, ultimately hindering personal growth and fulfillment. This revelation ultimately serves as a catalyst for self-awareness and growth.
I learned not to trust people, not to believe what they say, but to watch what they do. I learned to suspect that anyone and everyone is capable of living a lie. I came to believe that people whom you think you know well are ultimately unknowable.